Good morning, beloveds.
Good morning.
And to those of you who are watching us on Facebook, thank you for joining us, and good morning to you as well. We have been working on, because it's the beginning of the year, and of course we're working on setting our intentions and what it is we'd like to see happen. In December, we did the whole burning bowl and releasing things that we did not want to hang on to. We set our intentions for what we expect and confidently expect to happen in the new year. And when we began our series in January, the first thing we talked about was setting an intentional word or phrase, a couple of words. To set your intention for what you want to have come into your life. Okay, I'll move my head over here again. All right, that was a spot sign. To set your intention for the year. My word, just to let you know how it goes, my word for this year is joyous prosperity. Now, the reason that you want to set a word is because it begins to focus your mind and invokes the law of attraction. And it's very much like when you buy a car. Let's just use a Volkswagen Beetle because it's unique in the way that it looks. If you buy a car, the Volkswagens are out there. And all of a sudden, when you buy one, you see them everywhere. You see them everywhere, right? Whatever it is you buy, all of a sudden it's like, wow, everybody's getting a Volkswagen now, right? And we know that's not the case. What the case is because you now have one, your attention is up. You're more aware of what is around you in your surroundings. And that is why you set an intentional word. My intention for this year is to be joyously prosperous. Then my attention is on, and I see when an opportunity to be joyous or to be prosperous presents itself, and I get to say yes to that because I've already claimed it. So that's the power of setting that. And so we're talking about setting intentions and looking at what our year wants to look like for not only us personally, but for us in this church, for Harmony Spiritual Center. We're looking at where we want to go and looking at our vision and mission and talk about the things that we will be doing for service and outreach. So today I want to talk about, when we do that, what is God's grace and promise to us? How does God enter into the fact that we have set an intention? What's God going to do for us as we move forward? And when we look at, I've heard that phrase all the time, the grace of God, the grace of God. And we know here in New Thought that God is two sides of one coin. In that God is both personal to you, and as you know, I call God George, and we discuss a number of things. George, what the heezy is going on right now. And God is also law. Very much like gravity, it is a law. You can depend on it. You speak your word, no matter what it is. The spirit, the law, does not put positive or negative on it. You speak your word, it comes into over and over again. Now, you're not passing words, but you speak the words of what you believe, that's what comes into your life. So, when we look at the grace of God, we're talking about the characteristics of God. The nature of God. So what is the grace of God? The grace of God is the mercy, the compassion, the love, all of the characteristics of God, all the attributes of God. That's what grace is. The compassion, the charity, all the things we do for each other. That's what the grace of God is. And it falls fresh on us every single day. The grace of God. The things that we need falls fresh, and I love that term, falls fresh every day. So we don't have to worry about it. It's always there. And a promise is exactly what we say. We do the whole, do you swear? I pinky swear. A promise is a big deal. We're going to be talking next month about the 4 agreements. And the first agreement with the 4 agreements is to be exactly with your word. Be absolute and ethical and absolute about your word. So that is a promise. So when you speak your word, you're saying what you're about. You're saying what you're about, so it's very important. So what is the promise of God? Well, God said to Israel, the people of Israel traveling in the wilderness, he said, I will feed you. You don't need to worry about it. I will feed you. This was his promise. And so manna from heaven, food, just appeared on the ground every single morning. And this is what he said to them. He said, I will supply you but only take what you need for this day. Only take what you need for this day. And I remember traveling in Vietnam. Now, going from, in 2005, when we first traveled to Vietnam, my husband and I, we ended up staying over there for like 11 years. It was just so great. But one of the things that was interesting to us is that they have no refrigeration. Now, they do in the big hotels, they have to. But regular residents don't have refrigeration. Now, not only do we have refrigeration, we have all kinds of refrigeration. We have refrigerators in our house, we have refrigerators in the garage, and then we have the nerve to get a freezer. Right? I'm thinking of my sister's house. It's just packed full of food all the time. We got canned goods. We're just storing stuff everywhere. But the woman who was taking care of us when we were there and became a very good friend and began traveling with us, she would go to the market 3 times a day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Every day. She just bought enough to feed us for whatever meal we were eating. And there's a market, like every couple of blocks there's a market. It's not like she had to go to like H-E-B or, it wasn't a big, she had to go to Central Market and she wasn't that. It's just a market. And there's a big joke. There's a joke that goes around in Vietnam, and it says, what does it take to have a market? It takes 2 women and a duck. And then you got yourself a market. 2 women and a duck. A duck. All you need. You got one person to sell the duck, one person to buy the duck, you got the duck to sell. That's all you need. You got yourself a market. So they had markets everywhere. And so she only went whenever we needed, and she would go to the market. But the question to me, and I want to ask you, is why? Why did God say that? Only take what you need. Only take what you need. Why do you think he said that?
Because it's always available.
It's always available. And the thing is this. When we store things up, what are we saying? What are we saying?
We're afraid.
Right. We're afraid it's not going to be there tomorrow. And God is asking you to trust. You don't need to worry about what's happening tomorrow. Take care of this day. I will take care of you. Tomorrow I will fall fresh on you for whatever you need. Yeah? So you don't have to worry about storing things up. God's always there. God's always available. In Matthew 7:11, he said this. Don't bargain with God. Be direct. Ask for what you need. This isn't a cat and mouse hide and seek game that we're in. If your child were to ask you for bread, would you just give them sawdust?
No.
If the child asked you for food, would you give them a plate of snakes? No. So don't you think God, who loves you, will provide for you as well? Okay? Just think about that. So this is the grace and the promise of God. I will supply your every need. You have to just ask. You just have to ask. I remember talking with my sister once about God, and we just have all these great conversations about spirit. And although our religion is different, our belief is the same. We know there's one God. And so we talk about God all the time, and she said to me, and I love this, she said, God is a gentleman. She sees God as a person. I do too, as George. She said, God's a gentleman. You have to ask. God's not going to just crowd on you. He's not going, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do the other thing. God's a gentleman, always there to open the door, always ready for you. But you have to ask. You have to be ready. So here's what I would like to take away to be today. We're going to declare some stuff. 2 things. If you repeat after me, I'll say it first for the people also on Facebook. So, I have the grace I need for today. So with me. I have the grace I need for today. The second one is this. I pray boldly, asking God for big things in my life. Again with me now. I pray boldly, asking God for big things in my life. These are my declarations. Okay? And it was interesting when I wrote this down, because we were talking in the class this morning, and someone said it was really good to hear that ministers still have to figure out what's going on. I mean, they don't just wake up every morning knowing exactly what to do. I still have experiences where I think, oh, shoot, God, that didn't quite work out in a godly way. So I'm constantly having to understand, what is going on as well. And so I write affirmations. I write in a journal every morning, and I do the declarations. And I write affirmations, declarative affirmations, and one of them, I was just writing it, and I remembered this that said, I pray boldly. And I just thought, this affirmation you're writing, this is not a bold affirmation. You're putting time frames on it, you're talking about the end of the year. And so I said, King James. Let's write this again. All right. So I receive what I need right now. Okay? That's a bold declaration. Okay? Right now. I'm not waiting on it. So I'm learning too. I'm asking you and I'm telling you that I'm experiencing the same things. And as we go through and kind of live the life that we're used to living, we have to remind ourselves there's a bigger life for us. There's a bigger life. We have to remember to just to ask boldly and to ask the questions and ask God for what you need. But here's a question that I had. If God is always there and ready for us, why do we need to ask God for things? Why isn't it just already there? I mean, why do we have to ask? What's going on? I mean, doesn't God already know? What's going on? So, but here's the thing. There's a story. If you guys know Corrie, I always call her Corrie ten Boom in this boom. Corrie ten Boom. She's a Dutch lady, and her family during the Nazi occupation, they took Jews into their home and hid them. Her whole family did, and then they were discovered and put into a concentration camp. And she lost her entire family. She saw her whole family killed. She made it through, but she saw her entire family killed. And she was asked. She said she was asked, how can you forgive? Because she forgave those atrocities, and she actually forgave a particular gentleman who she knew had killed one of her family members. And she forgave him. And someone said, how can you do that? And she said, the reason you can't fathom how I can forgive atrocities is because God gives us what we need when we're ready for them. Do you understand? When we're ready to step into it. Okay?
Yeah.
So, if you haven't gone through that and you're not ready to let it go, you're not going to. But when you're ready to step into it, God is there for you all the time. Whenever you're ready for God, God is ready for you. Believe that. So Deuteronomy 31:8 says, Moses said to Joshua, be strong, take courage. God strides ahead of you in everything that you do. He's right with you and will not let you down and will never leave you. So don't be intimidated and don't worry. So if you don't remember, if you don't have, we again talked about this morning, about just trying to remember things. Just we find ourselves in the middle of something and thinking, oh man, I wish I hadn't behaved that way. That's not who I want to be, and that's okay, because this is about releasing the old and stepping into something new, something more, something greater. We're always evolving, which is what I love. Our spiritual life is always evolving. So if you can't know, you can't see how to overcome a particular obstacle, you don't remember. You don't know. You don't remember to renew your mind and transform your life. You don't remember that. You can't remember or see how to deal with, say, a health challenge. But sometimes you're in the middle of it. You're just not feeling good, and you don't remember how to do that. You can't see how to confront a relationship or accomplish a goal or forgive someone or any of the myriad obstacles and things and challenges that get in our way. If you can't see how to do that, I would ask you to do this. Envision God speaking these words to you. Don't worry. Don't be afraid. You don't need to worry. You don't. Do what the Big Bukowski says. Don't worry about it. Okay? Because God is with you. I am with you always. God won't let you down. Believe it. Trust it. Step into it. Ask for what you need. God will not let you down. When you get there, wherever you want to be, God will be there with you. When you get there, God will be there with you. Know this. Isaiah 43:1 says, I'm using a lot of Bible quotes because so many of them came to me and they just were so wonderful for this talk this morning. Isaiah 43:1 says, God's message, don't be afraid, I have freed you. I have called your name. You know, I was at a conference this weekend with Jeannie Brochus King. It was a women's conference. It was just really wonderful. And what is the point I was going to make with that? Don't you hate that? I mean, it's completely went. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, all the time, child. It comes and goes. I have to write it down. It comes and goes. I don't know what I'm going to say. But anyway, there was a woman at the conference, and she was great. I hope to have her here at some point. If not, I'll certainly give you the resources to meet this woman. Her name was Judy Friedman, and she is a naturalist. She was a RN, and she homeschooled her children. And so she had a project for one of her children over the summertime because she's homeschools them, but in the summer she has them do like a fun project for themselves. And her daughter wanted to do to check out some wildflowers, and she just wanted so she found the wildflowers. And this was prior to the internet, so they had to actually get encyclopedias and go to the library and identify all the flowers and whatnot. Well, the mother, my friend Judy, got so excited about what all these flowers could do. She has now created all of these medicines, just little droplets of medicine that are all natural. They're all made of every wildflower. They're all made of. She said everything you need is right there right outside your back door. And so she's made them, and she doesn't even use alcohol to condense them. She uses an oil, I think a grapeseed oil. I'm not sure what she does use. But anyway, I wasn't feeling good on Friday night, and I told her my head was stopped up and this and that. So she asked me a couple of questions, and she gave me her condensed version of an elderberry drop. And she gave me a couple of those. Before I even she gave them to me right there in the room, and I was heading to the elevator to go to my room. Before I even got on the elevator, my nose was dripping. It was getting unclogged. I swear by what this woman can do. But the point that I was making about her, I just want to tell you about that, was that she has 8 children that she birthed, and another one that she adopted. She has 9 children. Do you think that she knows all of her children's names? It's 9 kids. I don't know 9 kids, but she probably knows each one of them. She probably knows what her children's name is. Don't you think God knows what your name is? You're a child of God. Don't you think God knows who you are? Your name is on God's lips. You understand what I'm saying? God knows who you are and what you need. All God is waiting for you to do is to step into whatever it is you want to do. And God's going to be there because God knows who you are. So, when you're in rough waters, you're not going to go down. Because this is what he says, because I am God, your personal God. Personal to you, to each and one of us. So my question is this is true. If God is personal to us and always available, then why do we suffer? Why is there suffering?
Our choices.
Correct. And that's a hard thing to understand. But here's what I want you to know. Things happen. They're going to happen. We live on a physical planet. We're going to run into things. We're going to run into people. We're going to have hurts because we're raised by people who have error thinking, just like we've had some, and they have to fix them, and they're in our hearts, and we've got to let them go. So there are things that are going to happen to us. That's not optional. That's going to happen. What is optional is suffering about it. Okay? The suffering is what's optional. It's going to happen when we can change our attitude and just say, it is what it is, and God is with me. And we walk through whatever it is. We don't have to suffer. It's a difficult concept. I understand that. But know that it is true. It is true. Suffering is a choice. It is a decision. Life has its ups and downs, and whether we suffer or not is up to us. We don't have to cling to suffering. We don't have to cling to unforgiveness. We can let it go whenever we're ready to step into it. There is a show that I watch. It's called Lucifer. Have you seen it? Yes. It's amazing. How far are you into it?
I stopped watching it.
I know. Hello. I turned it off, go back. I turn it off and go back. I'll tell you what. First of all, just the name, Lucifer. It already brings up stuff from my background, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to watch that. And then I start watching it, and it's about the devil taking off. He's tired of being in hell, and he's tired of being around horrible people. And so he just takes a break and he comes to earth. But he doesn't quite understand, what's going on. So he's like a super person in earth, but he doesn't take advantage of that. He's just trying to understand what's going on. And he's working with, for whatever reason, he has a connection with a police detective. So they're always detecting and going out and doing work. And so he's trying to understand us. He sees a psychologist. So he's always sitting there talking to her about what's going on. He's all pissed off as his father at God. Right? He's all pissed off at Dad because Dad sent him to hell. He's like, what the heck? Why? So it's really good. But the more you watch it, the more spiritual lessons you'll get from it. The person who's writing it is really quite brilliant. So if you can get up, and the thing is, we got to get over all of our feelings. His name was actually Lucifer Morningstar. Anyway, the last one, the last episode that I watched, a bad guy had poisoned his partner and then died before he could get the antidote. The bad guy died. So his partner was dying. And so Lucifer said, well, I need to get the antidote, and I know this guy went to hell. So I'm just going to go back down there, and I'm going to get him. I'm going to ask him for the antidote. So he did. So he went back. He died. He let himself die. Went back to hell, and found this guy. The guy, his hell was that the thing he felt guilty about was that he was a professor, and he had created this great. He had worked on this great. He thought it was going to be a great discovery, and he'd worked on it for all of his life. And he had in this briefcase, he was being taken back to work, or wherever he was being taken by an Uber driver or a taxi driver. They got into a wreck, and he let the guy burn up and die because he wanted to save his work rather than save the guy. So that's why he was in hell, and that was his hell, seeing that day over and over and over again. And so Lucifer was talking with him and he asked him, if I give you the formula, will I get out of hell? And Lucifer said, that's possible. He said, okay. So he wrote the formula and he gave it to him, and he started to leave, and he was still in hell. He said, I thought you said I was going to get out of hell if I gave you the formula. He said, you can't get out of hell. You're the one that keeps staying here. It's your guilt that keeps you here. It's your guilt that keeps you here. So then Lucifer tries to leave, and he can't leave because he's guilty because he killed his brother. So now his mom's got to get him out. It just goes on and on. It goes on and on. The point being, and it was such a great tale of them talking about the devil. And we know this. Heaven and hell is right here on earth. Whatever we're experiencing, heaven or hell, is our choice and our decision. Whether we suffer, it's our choice. Whether we're in hell or not, it's our choice. We can just forgive ourselves and let it go and move on. Because here's the thing. You can't do anything about the past. You can't change it. So suffering over it doesn't change it. Feeling guilty about it doesn't change it. You can just forgive yourself and know, I don't want to do that again, and do something better moving forward. Right? That's what we get to do. So anyway, my question then is, what are you feeling? What anxiety, guilt, unworthiness? We don't have to. We can just let it go. We can release it. We can let go. We can surrender. We can admit to ourselves, because God already knows, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I need some help. Need a little help, please. Just a little bit of help, please. Please. A little bit of help. So just call out. There is evidence on the planet for answers from the universe. I don't care how you believe or don't believe or what your relationship is with God. We have answers from the universe. And I talked about this a little bit before, where there's just little nudgings, little intuitions, something that says, while right now it's beautiful outside, it's a beautiful day, but you step outside and something says, grab the umbrella. And you don't, because you're arguing. Right? Because you're like, it's beautiful out there, the sun's shining. And then you're going to be under a car, trying to fix it in the middle of the rain with no umbrella. Because it just briefly just comes across. It doesn't stay, it doesn't hang out long. It just tells you and then goes. You can argue if you want to, or you can grab an umbrella. That's how it works. That's how it works. There was a thing, did you guys watch Grey's Anatomy?
Yes.
Okay, I love the show. Some people don't. I love it. And I love Christina Yang. She's just crazy. She's just a hardcore, she's one of the hardcore, she's just all about the medicine and not about the people. But she was doing a heart transplant, and they ended up having to take the heart out of the person's body and have it continue to beat inside a box. And so she was sitting there watching the heart to make sure nothing happened to it before they got it back in. So she was sitting there watching, and she was trying to make some decisions. And she had this list of things, she was trying to put a list together. And the chief of surgery came in and saw her looking at the heart, and he said, if you need to make decisions, ask the heart. Ask the heart. And she's like, what the heck, what? So he left, and she was sitting there looking at the box, and so she said, okay. So she looked at her list, and she named something off the list, and she looked at the heart, and the heart just kept beating the way it was beating, and didn't do anything. She said, okay. So she said something else, and the heart started beating faster. She goes, oh, you like that? Okay, so no to the first one. You like that one? All right. And so she went down the list, and she said yes and no by asking the heart. It's because it's all energy, right? God is all energy. We get answers from the universe. We hear this stuff on television shows, from our friends. We have evidence. We just need to believe. We just need to believe it, and just go ahead. And even if you don't believe it, step out on faith anyway. Just try it until it proves it to you, because it will be proven to you that is what it's available. God is personal to us. God knows you for you. God is love. When we take up permanent residence in a life of love, this is 1 John 4:17. When we take up permanent residence in a life of love, meaning we are led by all of our God nature, love, compassion, mercy, all of that. We live in God and God lives in us. Love rules the house, and we are worry-free. I remember when I went to Thailand, I put a band together. I was sent to Thailand by George, because I talked with him. I said, I want to do music. I don't know how to do it. What should I do? But if you tell me, I'll just do everything you tell me. And so he said, well, you got to go to Thailand. Okay, no arguing. No arguing. So anyway, it was a fabulous experience, and I ended up being there for 5 years with a great band. I love all things music, musicians, singers. Anytime I hear somebody singing, I just want to, what are you doing? I'm fucking a groupie, it's crazy. And so when I'm over there and I hear someone singing well, or I know I've seen them sing and they come into a club that I'm working in, I invite them to come up and sing. Hey, come up, hey, come over, girl, come over, boy, come sing. I always did that. And I was asked by a woman one time, she was just shocked. And she was a singer too. And she said, why are you letting people get up on your stage and sing? And I said, what do you mean? I really didn't understand that question. I go, what do you mean? She says, well, they might take your job. Right? It's fear. Right? Might take your job. And I just thought, and I said to her, and I really meant it, I said, well, if they could take the job, it was their job to begin with. Right? I'm only going to be where I'm supposed to be. If I invite someone to step up to do something, and they're supposed to be there, it's my day on that stage is finished. And I'm okay with that, because that is love. And now I know love knows there's abundance in the universe. There is no lack. She can't take something from me. No one can take anything from you if it's yours. Right? If it's gone, think about what was meant for you. That wasn't meant for you. It's okay. When we did this thing for whether I was going to come or not, we talked many, many times. And you talked with me, I talked with you. We talked about, I'm ready to lead. If this is where I'm supposed to be, I will be here. You will have the leader you're supposed to have. And that is it. There's no worry. None of you were worried. I wasn't worried. I wasn't worried. You don't need to be worried. Because when love is in the house, when love rules the house, there is no fear. You don't have to fear about anything. Just go about your business. Just do you. Just do you. Okay? So, what is love? Love is God. It's open, it's inclusive. It's always looking for the best. It never looks back. It just keeps going. It never dies. Just TGA. Trust God always. TGA. Trust God always. That's my little mantra. This is the grace and the promise of God, that I will supply your every need. You just have to ask. That's what I want you to walk away and know that today. Everything you need is available to you. You just ask. So we declare right now, I declare, I have the grace I need for today. I pray boldly and ask God for big things in my life. God is and I am. These are my declarations. Namaste.